There is a difference between calling someone a liar and proving someone is a liar. Politicians call each other liars every day. It is the background noise of democracy. He said, she said, spin versus counterspin, accusations traded across podiums and talk shows and social media feeds until the word itself loses meaning. Liar. Everyone calls everyone a liar. Nobody proves it. Nobody pulls out the receipts. Nobody stands at a podium with documents and audio recordings and video testimony and forensic analysis and the actual text of the Constitution and says, here is the lie. Here is the truth. Here is the proof. Decide for yourself. Until today. At 12:34 p.m. Eastern Standard Time this afternoon, the Prime Minister of Canada stood at a podium in Ottawa with 3 screens behind him and 1.2 billion people watching worldwide. And for 52 minutes, he took every claim the President of the United States had made 1 hour earlier, held it up to the light, and shattered it with evidence so overwhelming, so undeniable, so meticulously documented that by the time he walked away from that podium, the question was no longer whether Donald Trump lied. The question was whether the President of the United States has ever told the truth about anything. 17 claims. Trump made 17 specific factual claims during a 37-minute press conference in the Rose Garden this morning. He claimed the tariffs were legal. He claimed the classified documents were fake. He claimed world leaders were coerced. He claimed the audio recording was AI generated. He claimed he never threatened Canadian sovereignty. He claimed Congress was committing treason. 17 claims, each one delivered with the absolute certainty of a man who has spent his entire life believing that saying something loudly enough makes it true. Every single one was false. And Mark Carney proved it. Not with rhetoric, not with accusations, not with diplomatic language carefully chosen to avoid offense, with documents, with audio forensics certified by 3 independent laboratories, with video statements from world leaders recorded specifically to contradict Trump's claims, with the text of the United States Constitution, with a FOIA response from Trump's own State Department confirming that the classified documents Canada released are authentic. Proof, irrefutable, documented, verified, cross-referenced proof, laid out methodically, calmly, without emotion, without theatrics, without a single raised voice or pointed finger, just evidence, statement after statement, receipt after receipt, lie after lie, demolished by fact after fact. 1.2 billion people watched a foreign leader do what no American institution has been willing or able to do for 5 weeks. Tell the truth about the President of the United States. And when it was over, and when the last document was displayed, when the last audio certification was held up, when the last world leader appeared on screen to call Trump's claims false, Carney said something that will echo through the history of this crisis longer than any trade agreement or military pact. The American people deserve better than a president who lies to them. He did not say it with anger. He did not say it with contempt. He said it with the quiet sadness of a man who genuinely wishes it were not true. And that sadness, more than any document, more than any recording, more than any forensic analysis, is what broke through, because sadness is honest. And honesty, after 5 weeks of presidential lies, hit 1.2 billion viewers like oxygen after drowning. In this breakdown, I am going to walk you through every lie Trump told this morning and the specific evidence Carney used to demolish each one. I am going to show you why Carney's decision to use the word liar, a word that diplomats never use, a word that violates every convention of international communication, was the most strategically devastating choice he could have made. I am going to reveal the global reaction and why this is being called the most consequential fact check in political history. I am going to show you what happened in Washington as the walls closed in and why Congress is now hours away from its second veto override. I am going to give you the psychological profile that explains why Trump lies even when the lies are easily disproven, and why that pattern guarantees the crisis ends only one way. And I am going to give you 3 scenarios for the next 72 hours, because after today, the American presidency is no longer functional. And the only question is which mechanism, congressional override, cabinet invocation of the 25th Amendment, or complete institutional collapse, brings it to an end. Subscribe to join the community. Leave a comment so we can keep the conversation going. And share this video because 1.2 billion people watched Carney's Fact Check Live. But the Americans who most need to see it, the Americans whose president lied to their faces this morning, are the ones least likely to have watched. They need to see it. Share it. Let me walk you through Trump's Rose Garden press conference because understanding the lies requires understanding how they were constructed. Trump appeared at 11:47 a.m. He was not scheduled to speak. There was no advance notice, no prepared remarks distributed to press, no teleprompter. This was an impromptu appearance driven, according to sources, by Trump's fury at two events that occurred this morning. First, the lingering global impact of last night's press conference where 47 world leaders publicly rejected American leadership. Second, the emergency congressional session that convened at 9 a.m. to pass implementation clarification legislation stripping Trump of any discretion in executing Canada's 5 requirements. Trump was cornered. He was watching his authority evaporate in real time. Congress was meeting to remove his ability to obstruct. The world was united against him. And his response, his only remaining response, was to stand in the Rose Garden and lie, not spin, not exaggerate, not shade the truth, lie, deliberately, specifically, provably lie about facts that are documented in the public record. And he started with the lie that forms the foundation of every other lie he has told during this crisis. He said, Canada has been lying about this entire crisis. They claim I imposed illegal tariffs. That's false. The tariffs I imposed were fully legal under Section 232 of the Trade Expansion Act. That was lie number one. And it is the lie that everything else depends on, because if the tariffs were legal, then Canada's response was unjustified aggression. If the tariffs were illegal, then everything Canada has done is defensive and everything Trump has done is the aggression. The tariffs were illegal. This is not opinion. This is not interpretation. This is a legal ruling issued by the USMCA Dispute Resolution Panel on February 20th, 2026. A panel of 5 trade law experts, 2 chosen by the United States, 2 chosen by Canada, 1 chosen jointly. A panel that included American selected arbitrators who agreed with the ruling. Unanimous. The tariffs violated USMCA Article 2.4. Section 232 does not override treaty obligations. Trump knows this. The ruling was delivered to the White House. His own trade lawyers reviewed it. His own legal counsel advised him that the ruling was binding, and he stood in the Rose Garden and told the American people the tariffs were legal. That is not a difference of opinion. That is a man standing in front of his country and stating the opposite of a documented legal fact. Lie number 2. Trump said the classified documents Canada released were fabricated. He said, my intelligence agencies have confirmed that those documents are fake, created by Canadian intelligence to make me look bad. The National Security Council never wrote a memo recommending I accept Canada's demands. The Treasury never wrote an analysis saying Canada has superior leverage. Those documents are forgeries. Every sentence in that statement is false. And what makes it extraordinary is not just that the documents are real, but that Trump's own government has confirmed they are real multiple times through multiple channels in ways that Trump either does not know about or is deliberately ignoring. The FBI announced an investigation into the leak of classified materials. You do not investigate the leak of documents that do not exist. The Senate Intelligence Committee chairman reviewed the documents and confirmed their authenticity. 3 former U.S. officials who participated in creating the documents confirmed them on the record to major news organizations. And the detail that Carney would later use to devastating effect, Trump's own State Department, responding to a Freedom of Information Act request, confirmed that the documents Canada released are authentic U.S. government documents. Trump's own State Department, his own executive branch agency, confirmed the documents are real in writing in a public FOIA response, while Trump stood in the Rose Garden claiming they were fabricated. He is not contradicting Canada. He is contradicting his own government, his own FBI, his own Senate Intelligence Committee, his own former officials, his own State Department. Every American institution that has examined the documents has confirmed they are authentic. And Trump says they are fake. Lie number 3. Trump claimed that the 47 world leaders who participated in last night's press conference were coerced. He said, "Many of them called me privately to apologize and to say they were forced to participate. The UK Prime Minister, the French President, the German Chancellor, they all told me they support the United States and only criticized me because Canada threatened them." This is a lie so brazen that it invited its own demolition. Because the world leaders Trump named are alive, they have press offices, and they have every incentive to correct the record if the President of the United States is putting false words in their mouths. And they did, within hours, on camera, specifically and unambiguously. Lie number 4. Trump claimed Canada cut off energy to interfere in American elections. He characterized the energy suspension as unprovoked aggression designed to damage his presidency. This lie requires ignoring the entire documented timeline of the crisis, a timeline that begins with Trump's tariffs, escalates through Trump's sovereignty threats, intensifies through Trump's recorded threat to destroy Canada's economy, and culminates in Canada's defensive response to sustained American economic warfare. Canada did not initiate the energy cutoff. Canada responded to months of American aggression. The cause and effect chain is documented in public statements, diplomatic records, and audio recordings. Lie number 5. Trump claimed he never threatened Canadian sovereignty. He said, "I never suggested Canadian provinces should join the United States. That's a complete fabrication." His own Truth Social post from February 14th says otherwise, in his own words, on his own platform, suggesting Alberta and Saskatchewan hold referendums on joining the United States. The post is still live. Anyone can read it. Trump denied saying something that he wrote, that he published, that remains visible on the internet to anyone with a phone. Lie number 6. Trump claimed Congress is committing treason by overriding his veto. This is not just a lie. It is a fundamental misrepresentation of the Constitution he swore to uphold. Article 1, Section 7 explicitly grants Congress the power to override presidential vetoes with a 2/3 majority. This power has been exercised 112 times in American history. It is one of the most basic checks and balances in the constitutional system. Calling it treason is not a policy disagreement. It is an assault on the Constitution itself. And then the lie that defined the morning. The lie so audacious, so contemptuous of reality, so insulting to the intelligence of every person who heard it, that it crossed the line from political dishonesty into something that felt genuinely unhinged. Trump was asked about the audio recording of his call with Carney, the recording where he threatened to destroy Canada's economy, the recording that 18.7 million Americans heard on CNN, the recording that has been viewed over 200 million times online. Trump said that recording was manipulated. My voice was AI generated. I never said those things. AI generated. The President of the United States claimed that his own voice on a recorded diplomatic call that he knew was being recorded, a call facilitated by the Swiss embassy, a call whose existence the White House press secretary previously confirmed by saying Trump's words were taken out of context rather than denying they were spoken. The president claimed that recording was artificial intelligence. 17 lies in 37 minutes, an average of one lie every 2.2 minutes, each one specific, each one provable, each one about a matter of documented fact rather than subjective interpretation, and each one delivered with absolute conviction to a rose garden full of reporters and a nation full of citizens who deserve better. Now, let me walk you through Carney's response, because understanding how he demolished these lies is understanding why this moment is unlike anything in the history of international relations. Carney appeared at 12:34 p.m., less than 1 hour after Trump's press conference ended, 57 minutes. That response time tells you the rebuttal was not improvised. Carney watched Trump's press conference in real time and activated a response that was already prepared. The documents already gathered, the videos already recorded, the forensic certifications already obtained. Carney had anticipated Trump's lies. He had predicted which claims Trump would make, and he had prepositioned the evidence to refute each one. The 57-minute gap was not preparation time. It was broadcast coordination time. The evidence was ready before Trump opened his mouth. Carney opened with a statement that broke every rule of diplomatic communication. He said, 1 hour ago, President Trump held a press conference where he made numerous claims about the US Canada crisis. I watched that press conference. I am now going to address President Trump's claims directly. I will not use diplomatic language. I will use plain language. Then the sentence that shattered the last pane of glass, separating diplomatic discourse from plain truth. President Trump lied. He lied repeatedly. He lied about matters of fact that are easily proven, and I am going to prove it. The word liar is never used in international diplomacy, never. Diplomats say we have a different understanding of the facts. They say we respectfully disagree with that characterization. They say the evidence does not support that claim. They do not say he lied because the word carries a moral judgment that diplomatic language is designed to avoid. It implies intent. It implies knowledge. It implies that the person speaking knew the truth and chose to say something different. Carney used it deliberately, not because he lost his temper, not because he abandoned diplomatic norms in a moment of passion. He used it because the situation has moved beyond diplomacy. You cannot have diplomatic relations with someone who denies documented reality. You cannot negotiate in good faith with someone who claims audio recordings of his own voice are artificial intelligence. You cannot maintain the fiction of respectful disagreement when one side is producing evidence and the other side is producing fabrications. Carney called Trump a liar because Trump is a liar. And the time for pretending otherwise ended when Trump stood in the Rose Garden and denied his own Truth Social post, his own State Department's FOIA response, his own FBI's investigation, and his own voice on a recording that 200 million people have heard. Diplomatic language exists to preserve relationships. The relationship is already destroyed. There is nothing left to preserve. And without a relationship to protect, there is no reason to soften the language. There is only the truth. And the truth is that the President of the United States lied 17 times in 37 minutes about matters of documented fact. Carney said so plainly, clearly, to 1.2 billion people. Let me walk you through the demolitions because each one was structured identically. Claim, evidence, verdict, repeated 17 times with the mechanical precision of a machine designed to separate truth from falsehood. Lie 1. Tariffs were legal. Carney displayed the USMCA Dispute Resolution Panel ruling on the screen behind him, dated February 20th, 2026. 5 arbitrators, 2 selected by the United States, unanimous ruling, tariffs violated Article 2.4. Carney said, "This is not opinion. This is a legal ruling." President Trump lied when he said the tariffs were legal. Document displayed, ruling quoted, verdict delivered. Next. Lie 2. Documents were fabricated. Carney held up the FOIA response from Trump's own State Department. The response confirmed that the documents Canada released are authentic U.S. government documents. He cited 3 former U.S. officials who confirmed the documents on the record. He noted the FBI investigation into the leak, an investigation that presupposes the documents are genuine. President Trump lied when he said the documents were fabricated. FOIA response displayed. Officials cited. FBI investigation referenced. Verdict delivered. Next, lie 3. World leaders were coerced. This is where Carney deployed the weapon that no one expected. Video testimony, pre-recorded statements from the very leaders Trump claimed had apologized to him. The screen lit up. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer appeared, recorded 2 hours before Carney's press conference. Starmer said, "I have read reports that President Trump claims I apologized to him for my statements yesterday. That is false. I have had no communication with President Trump. I stand by every word I said yesterday. The United States under President Trump cannot be trusted." The video ended. The screen changed. French President Emmanuel Macron appeared, recorded 1 hour before Carney's press conference. President Trump claims I was coerced into criticizing the United States. That is a lie. I participated in yesterday's press conference because I believe the international community must hold the United States accountable. No one coerced me. No one apologized to President Trump. The video ended. Carney said he had similar statements from the German chancellor, the Japanese prime minister, and 22 additional leaders. 24 world leaders on camera calling the president of the United States a liar. President Trump lied when he said world leaders apologized to him. Video played, leaders quoted, 24 witnesses presented, verdict delivered. Next. Lie 4. Canada cut energy unprovoked. Carney displayed a timeline, not a narrative, a timeline, dates, events, cause and effect, laid out chronologically so that any viewer, and regardless of language, regardless of political affiliation, regardless of prior knowledge, could see the sequence. February 1st, Trump imposed tariffs violating USMCA. February 14th, Trump posted sovereignty threats on Truth Social. February 28th, Trump threatened to destroy Canada's economy on a recorded call. March 7th, after multiple warnings, Canada suspended energy exports in response. The timeline is the evidence. The sequence proves causation. Trump acted first. Canada responded. President Trump lied when he claimed Canada weaponized energy unprovoked. Timeline displayed. Sequence documented. Verdict delivered. Next. Lie 5. Never threatened sovereignty. Carney displayed Trump's own Truth Social post from February 14th, the actual post, on the screen, in Trump's own words, suggesting Alberta and Saskatchewan hold referendums on joining the United States. Canada is really just northern USA anyway. Carney said nothing for several seconds. He let the post sit on the screen. He let 1.2 billion people read the words of the man who claimed 1 hour earlier that he never said them. President Trump lied when he denied making sovereignty threats. Post displayed. Trump's own words quoted. Verdict delivered. Next. Lie 6. Congress is committing treason. Carney held up a copy of the United States Constitution. He read Article 1, Section 7 aloud, the provision explicitly granting Congress the power to override presidential vetoes. Exercising constitutional authority is not treason. It is democracy. President Trump lied when he characterized congressional override as treason. Constitution quoted. Text read aloud. Verdict delivered. Next. And then the final lie. The one Carney saved for last because it is the one that most completely captures the gap between Trump's words and reality. The AI-generated audio claim. Carney held up a document, a certification from 3 independent audio forensics laboratories, one in the United States, one in the United Kingdom, one in Germany. All 3 analyzed the recording. All 3 concluded the recording is authentic. All 3 confirmed the voice is Trump's natural voice, not AI generated, not manipulated, not altered in any way. Then a second document, a statement from the Swiss embassy in Washington. The Swiss ambassador confirmed that the call occurred, confirmed it was recorded with both parties' knowledge, confirmed that the recording Canada released is the complete and unedited conversation. 3 forensic laboratories, the Swiss embassy, the White House press secretary's earlier non-denial, the 18.7 million Americans who heard the original broadcast on CNN, the 200 million who have heard it online. Against all of that, against forensic science, diplomatic confirmation, and the ears of 200 million people, Trump claimed the recording was artificial intelligence. President Trump lied when he claimed the recording was fake. Forensic certifications displayed. Swiss embassy statement quoted. Verdict delivered. 17 lies, 17 demolitions, 52 minutes. And when it was over, Carney did not celebrate. He did not declare victory. He did not perform triumph. He said something quiet, something that was not addressed to the cameras or to the political class or to the 1.2 billion viewers. It was addressed to the American people. The American people deserve better than a president who lies to them. The international community deserves better than a United States that cannot be trusted because its president invents his own facts, than the promise that redefines the relationship going forward. As long as President Trump remains in office, Canada and the international community will verify every American claim, will document every interaction, and will hold the United States accountable for its actions. Trust must be earned. The United States under this president has not earned it. Carney walked away, no questions. The evidence speaks for itself. The verdict is rendered. The proof is public. And 1.2 billion people sat in silence, having just watched something that has never happened in the history of international relations. A foreign leader on live global television systematically proving that the president of the United States is a liar, not through accusation, through evidence, document by document, recording by recording, video by video, lie by lie. The most devastating fact check in political history, delivered not by a journalist, not by an opposition politician, not by a fact-checking website, by the Prime Minister of Canada with receipts. Receipt number one, the global reaction. Within minutes of Carney's press conference ending, every major news organization on earth was running the same headline, variations of the same devastating sentence. Canadian PM proves Trump lied. Not Canadian PM claims Trump lied. Not Canadian PM disputes Trump's account. Not Canada and U.S. offer competing narratives. Proves. The word proves appeared in headlines from the BBC, Reuters, AFP, Al Jazeera, NHK, Deutsche Welle, France 24, and every major American news network. News organizations do not use the word proves unless the evidence is unchallengeable. They hedge, they qualify, they say alleges and claims and according to, because journalism requires caution about assertions of fact. The fact that major news organizations universally use the word proves tells you that the evidence Carney presented left no room for hedging. Fact-checking organizations, PolitiFact, factcheck.org, the Washington Post fact-checker verified Carney's evidence within hours. Every rebuttal was rated accurate. Every Trump claim was rated false. Within 2 hours, polling in the United States showed that 68% of Americans believe Carney's version of events over Trump's. 68%. More than 2/3 of the American public trusts the Prime Minister of Canada more than they trust their own president. That number is not a policy preference. That is not an ideological lean. That is a trust collapse. When 2/3 of a nation's citizens trust a foreign leader's account over their own president's, the presidency has lost its foundational legitimacy, the ability to speak and be believed, the ability to make claims and have them accepted, the ability to stand at a podium and have the nation take the words at face value. Trump can still sign executive orders. He can still command the military. He can still veto legislation, but he cannot speak and be believed. And a president who cannot be believed cannot govern, because governance requires the governed to trust that the information their leader provides is true. When that trust is gone, when 68% of the population believes a foreign leader over their own president, the machinery of governance continues to function, but the legitimacy that powers it has been disconnected. The machine runs, but it runs on nothing, and machines that run on nothing eventually stop. Receipt number two, the Washington collapse. At 1 p.m., the White House press secretary faced the press corps, and the performance that followed will be studied in communications courses as the definitive example of what happens when a spokesperson is sent to defend the indefensible. Reporter, does the White House stand by the president's claim that the classified documents were fabricated, given that the State Department confirmed their authenticity through a FOIA response? Press secretary, we stand by the president's statements. Reporter, the president said world leaders apologized to him. 24 of them have now gone on camera saying that's false. Does the White House have any evidence that those apologies occurred? Press secretary, we stand by the president's statements. Reporter, 3 forensic laboratories have certified the audio recording is authentic. The Swiss embassy confirmed the call occurred. Does the White House have any evidence supporting the president's claim that the recording was AI generated? Press secretary, we're not going to litigate this in the press. Reporter, does the administration have any evidence contradicting anything Prime Minister Carney presented? The press secretary ended the briefing and left the room. She left because there was no answer, because there is no evidence contradicting Carney's presentation, because every document Carney showed is authentic, because every video statement Carney played is real, because every forensic certification Carney cited is valid, because the president lied and the press secretary knows the president lied, and the only options are to defend lies with more lies or to walk away.